Hello and welcome to the Faith Building Podcast, episode 47, with your lovely and amazing host, Vladi Kuna.
And Norman Gräter. Hi, guys.
Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, good whatever time zone you're in and daylight or nighttime you're in. Today we want to speak about connection or disconnection. Last night I saw a video, I think it was on Instagram, and I also think it happened already 3 years ago while William Shatner, Captain Kirk, Star Trek, flew to space. He was in space for 10 minutes, the oldest human being in space so far with, I think, 90. And the moment, this 1 minute of video that I saw was when he was back on the Earth, landed safely, and Jeff Bezos was standing next to him, Mr. Amazon. And William Shatner struggled to find words what he had experienced and that it was different than he thought. You can see Jeff Bezos standing next to him, having glasses on, and he listens to him. And at one point he got distracted because there are some ladies and they're giggling and celebrating because there were more people on that flight. And then he asked for a bottle of champagne. And he kind of totally takes William Shatner out of his deep thoughts and then gets the champagne and asks him if he wants one. But he declines, and then he showers all the people with champagne. And while he does that, he says, "I want to hear this." But you can see, no, he's not interested at all in what William Shatner in this vulnerable moment has to share. And I thought about that all evening and all morning today. I thought, was this rude or not? How is it that people are so disconnected from other people, from like what other people have on their heart, on their soul? Is this rude or not? And I came out probably not, because Jeff Bezos is a totally different person. He's just not too much into human beings, but more into fulfilling a task or doing something. And that's not wrong. But still, I just saw that there's a disconnection of two human beings where one is sharing something very personal and something that is dear to his soul and heart. And that's one of the reasons why we want to speak about the topic we have today, connection and disconnection. Vladi, what's your take on that?
You know, I was going to start in a certain way, and then this came to me. That's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen more than speak.
We should use it in the proportion that it's given to us.
Yeah.
Listen
And you know,
more than
it's true. It's so true, because we're not trained to do that. We're trained to, from school, to speak up for ourselves and over-speak over others and giving opinions. And it's really the wisest things that can happen to you as a human. I'm not going to say it happens with the age. I say it happens with the longer experience in your life, where you feel the connection. And we're not just talking about connection to your internet. We're talking about connection to yourself. We're going to blend it all in. But I'm going to start with this internet one. And I love the story, Norman. I haven't heard it. You know, my kids were watching, and we've had our internet's been a bit wobbly in the last 5 days, which is funny because Norman was saying it's the same. And I'm in the UK, he's in Germany. So, you know, something going on in the world with energies. And we have such a speedy internet now. And by we, I mean all of you probably. You know, like it depends which part of the world you are. But genuinely, in Western countries, internet's really super speedy. And we have this expectancy. We expect everything in 3 seconds. You log into a bank and it's taking 3 seconds and you're like, come on. You know, like the rush. It's how we're used to the speed of internet. And if it slows down or it disconnects or doesn't work in a certain speed that we're used to, we get really frustrated, or it's like, what's happening? You can feel the disconnection. Now, this happens to us as humans, because if we are not up to speed, if your highest self, the best version of yourself, you know, like that kind of avatar of yourself, the person you would love to be and become, and you used to function that way, all of a sudden, if something happens and we're challenged or facing a problem, let's call it that way, then all of a sudden you feel this connection, right? But what we tend to do as humans, we push through it. We want to push through it with the speed instead of slowing down. Because all we need is slow down, listen, observe, and it will just speed up again. Because those are the moments where we need to learn to slow down and connect. By slowing down, you're actually connecting again. If you start going with your computer and banging into it and going like, come on, what if we just pause, unplug it, disconnect it, connect it back again, the router comes back on, and usually it's fine. The same if there is any problem in your in your computer, you're working, whether you're online or working on a Zoom and, you know, Microsoft meetings and stuff. If the connection is a little glitchy, just restart the whole computer. Slow down for a second. But it's always that speed. And you don't find connection in speed. It's in calm and slow and serene. Norman, I'll hand it back to you.
I totally agree with you. And like you said with the internet, we are more up to speed and everything needs to go yesterday rather than today. And we got frustrated. And it's so interesting. I want to read us what William Shatner actually wanted to tell Jeff Bezos when he was back on Earth. And he wrote, I think, this in one of his books. And it blends very well into our today's topic. That's why I want to read it. Last year, at the age of 90, I had a life-changing experience. I went to space after decades of playing a science fiction character who was exploring the universe and building connections with many diverse life forms and cultures. I thought I would experience a similar feeling, a feeling of deep connection, here it is, with the immensity around us. A deep call for endless exploration, a call to indeed boldly go where no man had gone before. I was absolutely wrong. As I explained in my latest book, what I felt was totally different. I knew that many before me had experienced a greater sense of care while contemplating our planet from above, because they were stuck by the apparent fragility of this suspended blue marble. I felt that too, but the strongest feeling dominating everything else by far was the deepest grief that I had ever experienced. While I was looking away from Earth and turned towards the rest of the universe, I didn't feel connection. I didn't feel attraction. What I understood in the clearest possible way was that we were living on a tiny oasis of life, surrounded by an immensity of death. I didn't see infinite possibilities of worlds to explore, of adventures to have, or living creatures to connect with. I saw the deepest darkness I could have ever imagined, contrasting starkly with the welcoming warmth of our nurturing home planet. I worry about the world my grandchildren will be living in when they are my age. This was an immensely powerful awakening for me. It filled me with sadness. I realized that we had spent decades, if not centuries, being obsessed with looking away, with looking outside. I played my part in popularizing the idea that space was the final frontier. But I had to get to space to understand that Earth is and will remain our only home, and that we have been relentlessly making it uninhabitable. So what he basically is saying, he realized to look on the outside for more pleasure, more joy, more life form, more exploration, more adventure was not the thing. In theory it was, but what Vladi showed earlier, this disconnection from our inner self and true self is the real core that we should look at and focus at. And this, of course, brings us to the main question of this episode, Vladi. What can one do if they want to reconnect themselves to themselves?
Really, it's such an important question to ask. And every one of us should ask it because it really starts inside us. We're always looking for this answer outside, but it is within us. It's us becoming part. It's like, I love this. So when you look at this letter, it really, we sometimes are driven, and it's the ego that drives us to reach somewhere, and then we actually reach it, and you're like, we're actually wrong. I love Bruce Lipton, and we both love him, with Norman, but he's written an amazing book, The Biology of Belief. And when I went to London to see his life a couple of times, I love this guy. He's a scientist, and you know, like in all his life, he stood on the stage and said, you know, the moment when you realize that you were teaching it wrong for 40 years. And I stood and said to the whole researchers and everyone that for 40 years, I've been teaching this all wrong. It's all about epigenetics. So it's like this revolutionary coming from someone who's been working entire life with their passion, and they believed it, like this 40 years. If you have told him, he said, if you have told me in anywhere in this period that is wrong, I would have totally disagreed. And then something happens because of our connection to the passion and to what we truly want. And we keep going and learning. We reached a certain point where we're like, whoa. And then he said, when I came out to the scientists and the rest of the institution, they were like, are you crazy? Of course, because people look at you. Are you crazy? I was in a legal financial industry, and then I went into personal development and studying mind and neuroscience and brain. And, I want to actually take the study much deeper, but really going into these materials. And I remember the transition for people around you will look like, what are you doing? You spend all these time, money, energy on something, and you want to change that? Well, isn't that what's calling you, or what has been calling you? Because that's the connection. I'm going to bring that to intuition, because we should be more connected to nature. That's where it starts. To ourselves, but being part of a nature. Go out for a walk 30 minutes a day, minimum 30 minutes a day. And I'm guaranteeing you, if you do this for 30 days without a fail, you will have completely different life. Just that half an hour of connecting and paying attention. Don't have your headphones on. Actually pay attention to the sound of the birds, the look at the sky, things that we were doing and generations were doing, and being more connected. I hug trees. I'm a tree hugger. I love hugging trees and the rocks, but there's not many rocks around me, so I have to do with the trees. If you can, it's proven. Like when I feel my lows or stuff, I just hug the tree and I just stand there, and you can feel the energy. I mean, do whatever works for you. I'm not saying go and hug the trees, but what I'm saying is if you sit by the sea and you watch the waves and you really feel them, you're going to find this incredible calm inside you. It's the connection you find inside you. I'm going to quickly run through main 5 reasons why we disconnected. Firstly, because we don't believe in ourselves. We're on this autopilot of negative affirmations. Oh, I can't do that, and I'm not good enough, and I don't have enough education, and I don't have enough money for this, and whatever your excuse is, it is the autopiloting. And what is your autopilot? What are the things, the stories you've been telling yourself why you can't do certain things, or sometimes why you just drive things and drive to the destination without finding a joy in the journey, our favorite subject. But if you don't find the joy in the journey, it is just not how it works. We're here to really enjoy the journey. Another one, a huge one, is when we struggle to make decisions. So we don't want to make decisions because it's a fear. It's like, what if this happens? And we're looking for opinions of other people. What do you think I should do? And we allow our kids to be not making their own decision. I mean, make a decision and, take a consequence. That's how they learn. But that's part of the disconnection of the next generation. We are not allowing our kids to make a decision and take a consequence. We're making decisions for them and making actually an excuse that they're too young. Intuition, your gut feeling, is the third one. When you feel like, I shouldn't do that, but you do it anyway. I mean, that is the strongest inner connective compass you can ever have. You don't feel it's right. And what's the difference between paradigm, your programming, and the intuition? Because lots of people ask us, so I just have to throw it there since I mentioned it. Intuition comes first. It's the feeling comes immediately after you feel you should or shouldn't do something. And then the paradigms kick in with what we believe is right, the autopiloting. Then it's lack of high emotions. I'm going to say high vibrational emotions, because we see people, it's like, it's almost, even people who have money, they have this, it's not about money. I'm going to start that, because lots of people say, oh, if I had more money. No, you wouldn't. And this is something I will then hand it to Norman. He loves talking about. We don't get to happiness. We must first enjoy what we're doing and then get that. It's not, I'll be happy when I have more money, or I'll be happy when I find my love. No, be happy first and then you attract it, because that is the connection. We can't recognize the feelings we have. So people have these various emotions going throughout the day and feeling funny, off, happy, but they can't even recognize what the emotion is. It's like, well, I'm stuck. Well, what? What do you feel? I don't know. People actually don't know what they feel. It's almost like people don't recognize what is the emotion, or what do I feel? Why do I feel like that? Why was this upsetting me? Why am I hurt by someone saying it? It really comes down to us, because it's the worthiness of us. That's what I wanted to wrap up. That's the point. Like, are you feeling worthy? I think that I am good enough. That's where it all starts. If you don't feel you're good enough, and you're on the outside, can have lots of money and confidence and dress well and do well, but you're empty inside, that world will never feel connected. It's just what it is. Norman, back to you.
It is. I just imagine a little child sitting in front of a TV and being totally like hypnotized or mesmerized by this flickering pictures. And this is what happens. I think that your thoughts, and of course with that your emotions, are being driven by AI, by social media, by things on the outside, by fast pictures. If you look at movies from the 50s and look at movies from today, the way they cut the movies, it's much faster. Sometimes in the past, you had one camera scene for, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes, the same angle. You would fall asleep by now because your brain got addicted to faster, 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 faster. And therefore, you don't even know what you feel because you're so like hypnotized looking into this little machine where you feel some things or you don't feel that but through the algorithm, of course they control your feeling. They show you more of what you look at, and if you look at negative stuff, they show you more negative. If you look at happy stuff, they show you more. But you're not in control anymore because you kind of outsource the the major part what draws your emotion, because the emotion is always following a thought, and the thought is being triggered by or through your five senses by something from the outside. So that's the routine. So it's like depression or other things. This does not happen to you. You make it. Your thoughts make it, and they are being triggered by something on the outside. It does not start walking by itself. It needs to be triggered. Coming back to connection, I thought about the routine that Vladi has, and maybe she can share it later with us or right now. Because before we pressed record, you mentioned a phone call you had, and at one point the other person said, "So can I do something for you?" And you said no. And the person reassured that, like, "Are you sure I cannot do anything for you?" And Vladi said, "No, I'm just calling to say hi." And this just proves that people are so used to, if somebody calls, if somebody stops by, if somebody writes a letter, an email, they want something. It's like on LinkedIn or Instagram when people write you, "Oh, hello, let's connect." And the main question I always have is, so what do you want? You don't want to make friends. I don't think that you want to make friends because you don't know me. But when they start asking these friendly questions like, "Oh, what do you love to do? And what's your big passion? And what's your business all about?" Well, I said, just go to my homepage and look at all that. What do you want? Just cut it short. So we are so conditioned to realize that everybody always acts in their own interest and they're not interested in us. And probably you realize that as well, like I do. At least 9 out of 10 people are not interested in you anymore. If you meet them and you ask questions, they will talk all evening long. And after 4 hours of talking, they will say, "What a great night, let's do that again." And you thought you did not ask me one question. You asked me not how is my day, how do you really feel? You just were here to talk about yourself, and it never crossed your mind that you could ask me something as well. So people just love to talk or to present or to feel respected. Here are the three things again: want to be seen, heard, or respected. And this kind of disconnects people, because who's interested in just listening to other people's story and not sharing their own? And at one point they become selfish and say, the next person I get a hold of, I will just share my story. So it's kind of a competition of egos pushing each other backwards and forwards. And this goes with social media. We all post only the funny, the happy, the beautiful stuff. And of course, if you would look as a bystander, you would realize, oh, they are all doing very well. But the moment you go back home where nobody waits for you and you feel the disconnection from love, or what Vladi said, from money, this is where we end up. And I want to say one more sentence to money because it fits in very well. The thing that I realized is if we ask for more money, money is just energy. let's just pretend money is energy. Money is nothing. It's just a number, a digital number on a digital account. It's not even paper or coins or gold or silver anymore. It's just a digital number. But we all aim for more of this digital number. If we want to realize what the energy behind this form of exchange is, because I give you a donut and you give me an exchange that has the same value, and we call this money. And have you ever realized that whenever you exchange something for money, it's something that gives you joy, right? Joy or relief. You can say, oh no, the tax office sent me an invoice and I paid it. Then it gives you some kind of release and also some joy. Every invoice you pay, every donut you eat, every car you buy gives you joy, which means if the equal exchange rate we call money is here to bring me more joy, then the energy of the exchange thing, the money, must be joy as well. And this is what Vladi shared earlier. Can we have more joy on the way, on the journey? Can we find joy in money, in also spending money? Because the moment I buy a steak for $50, I hopefully had joy eating that. So can I freely and with my open heart give the exchange rate the same value, whatever the restaurant said, let's say the $50? Can I just give that and be happy rather than being sad that money leaves? Because with sadness in my heart, I won't attract more money, because the frequency of money is fun, is joy. Some call it love. But love is something you cannot grab, especially if you're disconnected. But fun and joy you can get a hold of. So if you realize that you exchange money for joy, then find joy in everything you do. And this is the first connection back to you. And this brings me back to Vladi.
I think we will do one more episode on connection and lies. I'd like to talk more about what's out there and how it's actually affecting kids today. What's happening, because we started a while ago with the marketing and everything just to be more presentable. And yes, it is professional. You're not going to tell people your daily hustles because even you don't want to really focus on them. However, it's human to say we all go through crap. I love how Norman started talking about kids, because it really starts for the next generation. We say how we really care, but we're such a busy generation. Everything runs 2,000 miles an hour, and it's so speedy. We give our kids more money, most of us, Western people mainly, just because we're so busy, and we think we compensate not giving them the time, not scheduling a present moments. Like when I say giving people time and giving your friends time, it's not like when Norman was mentioning, like when you call someone, it's like, I just want to say hi. Everyone's like, I'm so busy. I'm busy. You have to almost schedule a tea with your friends these days, because everybody's so busy. And I mean, I'm going to put my hand up, like it really works in, like, you look at but you make time for things that matter. I always squeeze and just reshake my schedule, because I'm not asking my calendar what I should do. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to dictate to my calendar how I want to live my life. And that's something I've been learning. And that's why we've been working on it, even in my business, creating a program, is really stop putting these excuses that, I have to check your calendar. Are you asking your calendar how you can live your life? And that starts with the kids. They're glued to the screen. I'm a mom of two. Oh my goodness, you take them off the screen, it's like this angry, crazy, explosive ball. I've only been is than half an hour. So no, you actually haven't. You already been on this like almost 1 hour, 45 minutes. No way. It's like, you can't even have a normal conversation. You have to literally rip it off them sometimes and let them steam it off before they come back to themselves. And only then you can approach them with actually asking something. They're like in this zone of craziness. And what are we doing? It's like school. It's like, oh, here we go. iPad, you're like, okay, I'm pretending this is you're getting a new Apple or a new iPad as if this is a good thing. It's like, and then screens are everywhere. It's a screen time. You go and see your friends and your kids, like, after half an hour, I'm bored. They go back home because they want to go back home to the screen. This madness of disconnection in humanity started, and I actually think COVID was aimed at disconnection disconnecting people, but really those real people connected more. Because I actually found more connection by disconnecting from everything and realizing that, oh, we can go walking and, we played more, we did art. The way we turned those times into actually becoming a stronger, solid people as opposed to a screen people, it actually worked in our favor. Lots of people actually connect and realize what the real core values are. Because when you know what the core values are, you're not chasing something. It's not about, people talk about wealth, and we do as well. But wealth is something else for everyone else. Wealth is not just money. And what you see in social media and everywhere is, I can help you if you're an eight-figure owner and seven-figure owner at 10. And it's like this competition. Who has more zeros? And they're more and more disconnected. The more zeros they have, majority of them, I'm going to say that lovingly because not everybody, but majority of these wannabes, it's not the real wellness, because real wealthy people don't go and throw their all in front of the jet and in front of that's not what real wealthy people do. They hide. They take away the attention from themselves. They enjoy the wealth. It's the wannabes who are like, I've got this and I've got a new car, and they hire a team to take pictures in front of a private jet and just push stuff. Do you see anyone posting, like, my friend said to me, you're like such a contradiction sometimes, like you actually go and do some, obviously when we're speaking, Norman knows this, you're presentable, you have your hair done, everything's perfect because you're a speaker, you have a stage. Then I'm equally happy to be my hair like completely like this, messed up, no makeup, and I'm camping with the kids. I have no problem with it. It's what is your joy level? It's like, do you find joy in the journey, and are you really enjoying small things in the greater way? Because the success is not created. Nobody woke up next day and said, in 30 days, I have 1 million. Okay, fine. But you worked on it 10 years and then it happened in 1 month. It's all the collection of that, doing the work and being connected to yourself and creating and helping each other. That's what makes the journey important. And then when the riches come, like Napoleon, he'll say they come so fast you were wondering where they were been before. Well, really, that stands to that sentence. They were in your journey, building it up until one day you have the meal, but it takes time to prepare it. It takes time to harvest the fruit and vegetables and meals and grow the animals that actually the final meal is prepared for. It doesn't just appear on your plate. And yet sometimes people just come out of there and they telling these new generations and our young kids disconnected from each other, who can't speak to each other, but they can text each other. They sit opposite each other in the restaurant, they're texting. But we do the same as adults. We're so obsessed. We're telling them you shouldn't be on the phone while being on the phone. It's like, get off the phone while you're actually having 3 screens on and working on them and telling them screens are not good for you. They only seeing, and we're role modeling this for them. And we're actually telling how busy we are. Oh, I'm working 24/7 because I'm doing it for my own family. I mean, stop lying to yourself, because that's disconnection from yourself, from your family, from your friends. Find time for your people that matter to you. Norman, land it with what you like.
Your own children usually do not come after other parents. So that's what Vladi is sharing. If you're in front of the screen all the time, don't tell kids screens are not good and you should not stay on, because they will just model you. They have to know it and learn it from somewhere. Last question to close that, and we go further in the next episode, episode 48. Vladi, your routine every week, I think if I'm correct, you connect to 3 people you have not been in touch with for a while to just reconnect without wanting something. Am I correct about that?
Yes, I text 3 people every day just to say hi, wish them well. And I'm a huge believer when a person pops up into your mind a lot, let's say it doesn't have to be immediately. I mean, we now train to do it immediately, but if you've been thinking about someone, text them. I send them meditation or something as well. So, like it's like, hi, sending you love, and I hope you're doing well, and been thinking of you, and just send them a nice picture or maybe a happy quote or affirmation or a little, sometimes I have, if the person pops up a lot and lot and lot, because This is the way when you just come out there just to say hi, you don't know how many people you help. There are some people who are just not having a great week. And when you connect, they connect and then somehow they tell you, and you've meant to help. Like that is how we all connect as humans. But it's such a good habit of me now. Like I really love it. It doesn't take time. At the beginning, I had to write it. I had it on my daily list so I could tick it off that I did text 3 people, because you text one in the morning, then you get disturbed. And you may easily forget to do a second and third when you start this habit. But I think it's one of the best habits I've ever created. It really is. It keeps you connected to people. And that's my biggest wealth. It's actually the people I have in my life, the real deep, meaningful relationship. And I wouldn't swap it for billions. It's just the best thing that could happen for me.
What a beautiful closing statement. Guys, girls, maybe that's an idea for you to just reach out to people without any idea in the background, without wanting to tell your story, just asking the other one, how is life? How are you doing? Or sending a smiley or whatever. With that in mind, we hope to see or hear you again next week, and we continue with our disconnection and connection and all the things around it in episode 48. Until then, stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.